Okay, guys, so we've got a new topic that you guys need
Now
to
at the
hear,
Honda Celebration sales event, you could get a great deal on a Honda
and
Accord.
it goes by
Hurry in
the
to your local
acronym
Honda dealer for the
BIZ.
Honda Celebration sales event today. From
Meet the
KBB.com's
secretive
Best
group
Value
that
Price.
runs the world. Okay, you want to know who owns your secret account, who ultimately really owns and controls that in the world? Well, over centuries, there have been many stories, some based on loose facts, others based on hearsay, conjecture, speculation, and outright
Now at the
lies,
Honda Celebration
about
sales
groups
event,
of
you
people
could
who
get a great
control the
deal on a
world.
Honda
Some of
Accord.
these are partially
Hurry in
accurate,
to your
others
local
are
Honda
widely
dealer for the Honda
hyperbolic.
Celebration sales event
But when it
today.
comes
From
to the
KBB.com's
historic
Best Value Price.
record, nothing comes closer to the stereotypical secretive group determining the fate of over 7 billion people than the Bank of International Settlements, which hides in such plain sight that few have ever paid it much attention. Following is an excerpt from Tower of Babel, the shadowy history
Now
of
at
the
the
bank
Honda
that runs the
Celebration
world.
sales event,
Okay?
you could get a great deal on
The
a
world's
Honda
most
Accord.
exclusive club
Hurry in to
has
your local Honda
18
dealer for the Honda
members. They
Celebration sales
gather
event
every
today.
month on
From
a Sunday evening at
KBB.com's
7
Best Value
p.m. in a
Price.
conference room E in a circular tower block whose tinted windows overlook the central Basel railway station. Anything said at the dining table is, it is understood, is not to be repeated anywhere else.
Now at the Honda Celebration sales event, you could get a great deal on a Honda Accord.
Okay.
Hurry in to your local Honda dealer for the Honda Celebration sales event today. From
The
KBB.com's
ECC, which used to be known as the G10 Governors Meeting, is the most influential of the BIS's numerous gatherings, open only to a small select group of bankers from advanced economies.
Now at the Honda Celebration sales event, you could get a great deal on a Honda Accord. Hurry in to your local Honda dealer for the Honda
They're almost
Celebration
all
sales
men
event today.
are
From
central bankers.
KBB.com's Best
They
Value
have
Price.
come to Basel to attend the economic consulted consultative committee of the Bank for International Settlements, which is the bank for central banks. Current members: Ben Bernanke, Sir Mevrin King,
Now at the Honda Celebration
Mario
sales event,
Draghi,
you could get a great deal on a Honda Accord.
Zhao
Hurry in to your
Zhaichan,
local Honda dealer for the Honda Celebration sales event today.
and then the central bank governors of Germany, France, Italy, Sweden, Canada, India, Brazil, Jamie Caruana. Yeah, let's take a look at this. The governors of all 60 BIS member banks then enjoy buffet lunch on the 18th floor dining room designed by Herzog de Meuron, the Swiss architect firm which built the Bird's Nest Stadium. The dining room has white walls and a black ceiling. Oh, Masonic colors. And spectacular views over 3 countries. Those discussions say central bankers must be confidential when you are at the top in the #1 post. It can be pretty lonely at times. It is helpful to be able to meet up with other #1s. This is my problem. How do you deal with blah, blah, blah. The bank arranges a fleet of limousines to pick up the governors at Zurich Airport to bring them to Basel. The BIS discussions are always lively, focused, and thought-provoking at FMOC meetings. While I was at the Fed, almost all committee members read statements which had been prepared in advance. They very, very rarely referred to statements by other committee members, and There was almost never an exchange between two members or an ongoing discussion about the outlook or policy options. At BIS dinners, people actually talk to each other, and the discussions are always stimulating and interactive, focused on the serious issues facing the global economy.
Total Repair 5 from L'Oreal.
The BIS has the right to communicate in code and to send and receive correspondence in bags covered by the same protection as embassies, meaning they cannot be opened. It has its own bomb shelter in the event of a terrorist attack or armed conflagration. The BIS's assets are not subject to civil claims under Swiss law and can never be seized.
Anything. And so can our hair. Total Repair 5 from L'Oreal.
The BIS strictly guards the banker's secrecy. The minutes, agenda, and actual attendance list of the Global Economy meeting or the ECC are not released in any form. This is because no official minutes are taken, although the bankers sometimes scribble their own notes. Central bankers like to view themselves as the high priests of finance, as technocrats overseeing arcane monetary rituals and financial liturgy, understood only by a small, self-selecting elite. But the governors who meet in Basel every other month are public servants. They set interest rates, thus deciding the value of our savings and investments. They decide whether to focus on austerity or growth. Their decisions shape our lives. 8 countries pledged to manipulate the gold market to keep the price at around $35 an ounce. Although the London Gold Pool no longer exists, its successor is the BIS Markets Committee, which meets every other month on an occasion of the governors meeting to discuss trends in the financial markets.
Lowest prices, not contracts. It's all a part of our commitment to redefining what a cable company can be. Get superior spectrum business internet and voice for less with no contract.
In doing so, it has spawned a new class of close-knit global technocrats whose members glide between highly paid positions at the BIS, IMF, central, and commercial banks. The bank's opacity, lack of accountability, and ever-increasing influence raises profound questions, not just about monetary policy, but transparency, accountability, and how power is exercised in democracies. During the war, the BIS became a de facto arm of the Reich Bank, accepting looted Nazi gold and carrying out foreign exchange deals for Nazi Germany. Nationalities were irrelevant. The overriding loyalty was to international finance. Paul Heckler, the assistant general manager, was a member of the Nazi Party and signed his correspondence with Heil Hitler. After 1945, 5 BIS directors, including Hajmar Schnott, were charged with war crimes. In large part thanks to BIS. Germany lost the war, but it won the economic peace, in large part thanks to BIS. Yeah. The bank moved into its current headquarters at 2 Central Bahnplatz in 1977 to serve central banks in their pursuit of monetary and financial stability, to foster international cooperation in these areas, to act as a bank for central banks. You know what they say, just follow the money.
He's on the good side. Grigsby Bear. It's on a screen so big.
The BIS buys and sells gold and foreign exchange for its clients. The BIS is a unique institution, an international organization, an extremely profitable bank, and a research institute founded and protected by international treaties. Accountable to its customers and shareholders, the central banks, but also guides their operations.
She pulled such a powerful emotion from me. I just was completely taken by photographing her and loved photographing her.
Perceptions of economic stability and value are almost as important as reality itself. The powerful forces of international capital that brought the BIS into being and which granted the bank its power and influence are again triumphant.
No added taxes or fees, and no contracts.
Yet the BIS cannot escape its responsibility for the Eurozone crisis.
It's all a part of our commitment to redefining what a cable company can be. We're sure you'll notice the difference. Get superior spectrum business internet and voice for less with no contract.
It's at the heart of the European integration project, providing technical expertise and financial mechanisms for currency harmonization. For secretive organization, the BIS has proven surprisingly nimble. It survived the first global depression, the end of reparations payments, and the gold standard, two of its main reasons for existence: the rise of Nazism, the Second World War, the Bretton Woods Accord, the Cold War, the financial crisis of the 1980s and 90s, the birth of the IMF and the World Bank, and the end of communism. The bank made itself an essential pillar of the global financial system. The moral of the story here, guys, I got some more articles. I'm just giving you some key points about this so that you guys can also come and check these out and do some research. But you know what they say, follow the money. Well, this is where the money kind of ends. The BIS is now the world's 30th largest holder of all gold reserves, with 119 metric tons more than Qatar, Brazil, or Canada. Its low profile is remarkable. Back in 1930, a New York Times reporter noted that the culture of secrecy at the BIS was so strong that it was not permitted to look inside the boardroom, even after the directors had left. Little has changed. Journalists are not allowed in the headquarters while the global economy meeting is underway. BIS officials speak rarely on the record and reluctantly to members of the press. The strategy seems to work. The Occupy Wall Street movement and anti-globalizers, the social network protesters, have ignored the BIS. Which is why we need to start hammering the shit out of them, because, well, obviously just the Fed ain't working. And that's from the gentleman on the conference call that's been giving us that. He said it's something along the lines of a former employer. There are no demonstrators gathered outside BIS's headquarters, no protesters camped out in the nearby park, no lively reception committees for the world's central bankers. As the world's economy lurches from crisis to crisis, financial institutions are scrutinized as never before. Legions of reporters, bloggers, and investigative journalists scour the bank's every move. Yet somehow, apart from brief mentions on financial pages, the BIS has largely managed to avoid critical scrutiny until now. So guys, this is who really owns. And it's kind of funny when you hear that Tower of Basel, you think of like the Tower of Babel. The World Central Bank, the Bank for International Settlements. This page is the fruit of research of the UK Green Party's Economics Group for a 2001 mini-conference in Manchester. The BIS is the most obscure arm of Bretton Woods international financial architecture, but its role is central. John Maynard Keynes wanted it closed down as it was used to launder money for the Nazis in World War II. Run by an inner elite representing the world's major banks, it controls most of the transferable money in the world. It uses that money to draw national governments into debt for the IMF. You guys can come and take a look at this stuff. Sounds like this is a legitimate lead, so we're going to launch a campaign on them. We'll go over the Fed's head. We're still going to end the Fed, but we're going to bring some attention to these assholes here. As you can see, there's quite a bit of information here. And this is their webpage. Now, let's take a look at something real quick. Established on May 17th of May 1930. That's pretty early, close to when our gold was stolen, huh, guys? Right before the Bank for International Settlement. We heard that they're known for holding on to quite a bit of gold. The Bank for International Settlements, BIS, is an international financial organization owned by 60 member central banks representing countries from around the world that together make up about 95% of the world GDP. What does that tell you guys? Its head office is in Basel, Switzerland, and it has 2 representative offices in the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region of the People's Republic of China and in Mexico City. The mission of the BIS is to serve central banks in their pursuit of monetary and financial stability. Oh, they sound so good. To foster international cooperation in those areas and to act as a bank for central banks. As I said, follow the money. If they're a bank for central banks, that means they're above the Federal Reserve. So these are the assholes we want. These are the ones that are really to blame then for the slavery system. Because remember, it's not just the U.S., it's the world. So it's these jackasses that are trading on our Social Security numbers and our names. I'm willing to put money on it. So what do you guys say? You ready for this this amplified movement? This is going to be one of the new campaigns. Because guess what? From everything that we've so far found out, there has never been a campaign against them because they've been able to stay off the radar. So this can be a first. We got to get as many people bringing as much exposure to these assholes as we can. The Tower of Basel, secretive plans for issuing a global currency. So these assholes are suggested where that's coming from as well. For many years, the BIS has kept a very low profile, operating behind the scenes in an abandoned hotel. It was there that decisions were reached to devalue or defend currencies, fix the price of gold, regulate offshore banking, and raise or lower short-term interest rates. In 1977, however, the BIS gave up its anonymity in exchange for a more efficient headquarters. The new building has been described as an 18-story high circular skyscraper that rises above the medieval city like some misplaced nuclear reactor. It quickly became known as the Tower of Basel. Today, the BIS has governmental immunity, pays no taxes, and has its own private police force. It is, as Mayor Rothschild envisioned, above the law. The BIS is now comprised of 55 member nations, but the club that meets regularly in Basel is a much smaller group, and even within it, there is a hierarchy. A 1983 article in Harper's Magazine called "Ruling the World of Money," Edward J.S. Epstein wrote that where the real business gets done is a sort of inner club made up of half a dozen or so powerful central bankers who find themselves more or less in the same monetary boat. Those from Germany, the United States, Switzerland, Italy, Japan, and England. Epstein said the prime value, which also seems to demarcate the inner club from the rest of the BIS members, is the firm belief that central banks should act independently of their home governments. A second and closely related belief of the inner club is that politicians should not be trusted to decide the fate of the international monetary system. There's a lot of really good information in here, guys. I'll leave you guys the links. So, now we know who's above the Fed. So, I'm going to try to find their Twitter and launch a Twitter campaign tomorrow against the BIS. I hope you guys will join me on that. Let's make some noise and do something that's not been done before. Are you with me? Alright. If you guys like what I'm doing, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, do so now. Most importantly, share this information, get it out everywhere. Let's let people know who really is behind the curtain. Oh, one more thing also. As the gentleman had mentioned today, the 2012 filing that OPPT and Heather Tucci did actually was supposed to shut down this BIS along with the other central banks. It was supposed to take our money back from them and put it back into our hands and our freedom. I'm going to be covering that tomorrow. I'll have out the filings for you guys. Alright. If you like what I'm doing, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, do so now. Most importantly, share it. Get this information out, as it's very, very important that we wake people up to this. Leave me your thoughts in the comment section below. And much love, guys. God bless.